research question needs to be translated and transformed into empirical questions to be asked about your units of observations. And you need to think about asking questions, collecting data about concepts, connections, and context. By the way, have you noticed that almost in any session, I draw a picture of your research questions, which has normally 2 boxes and 1 arrow. It's partly intentional to suggest you to not think about more than that, at least at this stage. Because if sometimes I want to literally draw what you have all in your research question, I can just put everything here. And I think it's a good exercise that you force yourself to draw a figure with boxes and arrows connecting what you want to link to what else, but then keep it to the minimum. Maybe just 2 boxes and 1 arrow, which is the minimum. Anyways, let's continue with this design for the description. The next point that I'm going to talk about is, again, one of the very essential points. Pay double attention to that. And that's the connection or the move from concepts to the constructs. If you have a research question, like what we just discussed, how do established organizations with extensive prior knowledge fail to put it again into action? If you just look at the concepts, you have 2 main concepts: prior knowledge, reapplication of the knowledge. These are abstract things. We call them concepts. They are generic. But then when you want to think about empirically explore them, you need to find constructs related to these concepts. Constructs are the things that you see in the reality. Concepts are the things that you see in the books, in the papers, and you can think about them, but you can't directly see them. There is no such a thing empirically in the reality as prior knowledge, as a concept. You need to find the instances, the examples, the concrete examples or the concrete equivalents of the concepts. That is called construct. For instance, you can think about the knowledge of conflict resolution. When you talk with these companies, you realize that they learned some lessons, some practices, some methods of resolving their conflicts in their interorganizational collaboration. Or the knowledge of modular design, for instance. And in terms of the knowledge reapplication, you find these empirical equivalents or concrete equivalents of these concepts, which are constructs. What's important is basically this chain, this connection, that what you have as a concept is properly reflected or connected with the construct. If I want to know how the monkey moves, the movement of the monkey is a concept. But then the speed of running is maybe a more concrete construct because I can observe it, I can measure it, I can find it in the reality. But if I just look at something else which is unrelated as a construct, that's the connection is missing. Finding constructs that properly connect, reflect your concepts is called construct validity. If you find it in any textbook or in a method, or you can discuss with your supervisor. And that's one of the key issues, the key points when you want to design for description. One more example. Let's first look at the idea, the research question, which I think, again, it's well thought about. At least so far, there are so many interesting points that or thoughts put into that. Does the author want to say anything?
Yeah, it was my part, or what I wrote that. But yeah, I think I'm not fully there yet, but I'm like finally on some path somewhere.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One little question, Sophie. Do you think that the word Microsoft team is necessary to be put in the research question?
I would say no. I think I just wanted to specify it because there's quite a lot of different social collaboration software. I think
Well,
I would.
that's great. What are then the differences between the Microsoft team and the other ones that are important for you? Is it that, for instance, user friendliness is different? Is it that the scale of collaboration is different, or there are certain features? So those things you absolutely can put it there. For instance, you can say that, virtual or intelligent, let's say, collaborative teamwork or augmented reality type of, collaboration teamwork, but that can be in the case of Microsoft Team or any other.
Mhm.
So conceptual narrowing, perfect. Empirical narrowing, you put it in the method section. Good. So what are the key concepts here? Right. Organizational knowledge sharing makes sense. Social collaboration software is a thing because it's a software.
Mhm.
What is a concept that you would actually replace this thing with that? It can be, for instance, distributed interaction. It can be asynchronous collaboration. It can be real-time distant interaction. It can be facilitated communication. It can be, many things. I mean, this is just the description. I mean, concepts are abstract, constructs are specific, concepts are complex, constructs are simple. I mean, if one concept like knowledge sharing or emotional intelligence or collaboration as a concept, normally they have multiple sides or dimensions or facets. But then constructs are very specific because they are related to one specific aspect or dimension. And, pragmatically, when you want to do your research, you need to know what are the constructs to go and relate to them. So these are the reasons that we need to make this distinction there. What are the measures of a good operationalization? At least these are the key points here. First, we call it correspondence, which means the construct should reflect the meaning or aspect of the concept. If I say the exchange of documents between two departments is a construct for knowledge sharing, for interdepartmental knowledge sharing, it corresponds. It's an example of knowledge sharing. That's called correspondence. But if I say agreement on helping each other, it's not necessarily an example of knowledge sharing. It might be an example or a construct for intention for sharing knowledge, but not knowledge sharing itself. That's correspondence. It should be exclusive. If I say intention to invest, that can be a very generic construct for many things. For motivation, for going after hype, for being, aware of the importance of something. So the closer you make, or the more exclusive you make your construct related to your concepts, the better is your specialization. And completeness. If you say I'm going to operationalize, or let's say, if you say my concept of knowledge sharing has 3 levels: individual, team, and interdepartmental. So you need to have constructs related to all the 3 dimensions. So the things that you capture should cover the entire concept that you have. If your concept about collaboration has a team and an organizational level, you need to capture both sides if you want to keep both in your scope of research. And efficiency is something which is mostly for quantitative research, which means you find the fewest number of variables that they don't have overlap. For qualitative research, we don't go for efficiency. Even we go for lack of efficiency. If I want to know about the knowledge sharing in qualitative research, I ask multiple questions, even if some of them overlap with the others, because that gives me a more sense of comprehensivity and triangulation.